Hey everyone, Chris Sawyer is here. The Varietal Show is back. I am here with one of my besties for a long time. This is Doug Frost, and if you guys don't know who Doug Frost is, then you don't know the wine industry. This is one man that I know that is a master of wine and a master sommelier. One of the only ones in the United States, and a great friend of mine. And we realized that today we're basically celebrating our 21-year anniversary together. How we first met, I mean, we knew of each other before this.
Absolutely.
But the fact was, at BV Winery, when they celebrated their 100-year anniversary, we got to be there together, and we sat right next to each other,
Yep.
and we had the best time ever. And we were just kind of going back on that. What an amazing experience that was. But guess what? A lot has changed since then. And right now, we are actually in Mexico. As you can see right here behind us, the fabulous poster behind us, this is what we're doing. We're doing a Mexican Selección, and we are here with Concours Mondial de Brussels, and this is their little flagship one here in Mexico. And if you would have said that to me, a while ago, or just in general to people, and you say, Mexico, what does, alcoholic beverages mean to you in Mexico? Everyone would have said, cerveza, and they would have said, tequila. And guess what? We haven't been dealing with any of them. We've been dealing with amazing wines that are starting to come out of this country, and we're also dealing with some really good mezcal. So
Buckets of it, just so you know, buckets of the stuff.
we have drank our quota for like months on end in just a few days. But it's really fun. And I wanted to kind of go over this winery too, Cuna di Terra. And, we had an amazing lunch there yesterday. The kinds of cuisine, we think we know everything about Mexican cuisine until you come to the regions here and you find out some really interesting things. Doug, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks.
And it's just great to be here with you at judging. And we found out a lot, didn't we, about Mexican wines? And what did you find out about them?
Well, I think I've been coming to Mexico and tasting wine for probably 25 years or so, but primarily focused on Baja California, particularly the Valle de Guadalupe. And, I have to say, I was wholly ignorant of what was happening in Guanajuato.
Yeah.
And, there's other states like, Aguascalientes and Chihuahua and such, where other things are happening. And I was completely ignorant of that, too. I mean, I'd heard a little bit of stuff, but I never really focused upon it in any meaningful way. And this time around, we got to taste stuff from all over the country. And there's a ton of really good wine here.
They're really good, you
Yeah.
guys. And we're really excited. I mean, Guanajuato is where we're at right now. For everyone that doesn't know where that is, it's right above Mexico City. It's a few hours. It's not like you just kind of get in a car and you just drive and it's easy peasy. It takes a few hours. We actually flew into Leon, which is a little bit higher up here. It takes about 2 hours by car to get there. But what we've learned so far, I mean, our panels were next to each other, so we weren't on the same panel. But you know what? I was listening to him. He was listening to me.
We heckled.
We
basically.
heckled each
Yeah.
other kind of often, but I think some of the things that I really found out, this Syrah is the first time I've really tasted a Syrah that we knew what was in the glass, because remember, these competitions, we do not know the varieties either, and this is the Varietal Show, I know that, but we know this is Syrah, you guys, and we had an amazing lunch there yesterday. They did a mole with nice meat dish that was done with mole around it. Oh my God!
Yeah,
that was just crazy.
The moles have been, again, it's a country with many different moles, and so we've been lucky to have probably 5 or 6 different moles during this trip. And we did the crickets thing, and we did the scorpion thing,
Yeah.
we did the beetles
We're
thing.
talking. We ate them, you guys.
Yeah,
so
no.
we're not screwing around here. But
Yeah.
when you have mezcal after it, you're fine. You can do it.
The truth is as great as the meals were, and the meal last night was pretty
Yeah.
righteous as well. We've been having these breakfasts again, enchiladas with mole. I guess the easiest way to describe it all is just to say that the full wealth of proteins that we have available to us is available down here, of course. But there is always, to me, it has always been an emphasis upon the local flora and fauna, but particularly the flora that they figured out how to use so many of the plants that we look at in our landscape and go, that's pointless. And we had that gambardella jelly on top
I know.
of, which was, I'm sorry, that's this cactus that grows all around the Southwest. I didn't know you can eat that stuff.
Yeah.
It was made into a jelly that went on top of this dessert that was freaking delicious.
Yeah, we got a lot of insight into mezcal. I'm a big fan of mezcal, you guys. Mezcal is very different than tequila. A lot of people say, "Oh, I love my margaritas. I love this," and you'll find those sipping tequilas, but mezcal is always sippable. And that's the interesting thing. But we were there. We were actually hacking away at some agave, different species of agave, and we were like actually cutting the arms off and like taking them in. They're going to smoke them the next day, and it was a really interesting thing. And you go back in the history, and we had a great history lesson here too. And I think that's one of the things about Concours Mondial, which I've judged for many years, and I've got the chance to do it in Switzerland and Beijing and Spain, and here we are in Mexico. But one of the great things about them, they're really into educating us, and they're also into bringing us to very historical areas. And this area in particular, as we found out yesterday, this great winery, this is kind of where the birthplace of wine really started here in Mexico, and it kind of stopped really dead in its tracks, and it wasn't its fault, but it's when the Spaniards came in, they said, "That's great, I'm glad that you're having great success there. We're going to cut that off now, and you're going to buy our stuff from Spain." So Mexico is behind it's been behind for a while. It's about 40 years of history right now that we're looking at, and we will go further than that. And what we found, what's one of your best wines? I mean, we don't know what they were, but what was one of your best wines that you really liked so much?
Well, certainly there was a flight that obviously there were some Malbecs in it, and there was a flight that had some Petit Verdot in it. And both of those, I mean, Petit Verdot is a really, really tannic variety. It takes a lot of heat to ripen the tannins and the sugars both, and certainly the acids. Well, we kind of have it going on up here. We're at high elevation. Guanajuato has this high UV, which creates really intense colors. If you think about the crazy purple pinks that you get from Malbec when it's grown, at 3,000 feet or what have you in Mendoza, you get a sense of what it can look like here as well. So those two grapes just jumped out. But maybe surprisingly for some people, there's a lot of white wine that's made up here that's nice and clean and fresh, because you know what? You can't leave it hanging out there very long. You're going to lose your acid. So they bring it in fairly early, and it's crisp and refreshing.
Yeah, it's funny because they have a really nice starting part of the season. It's warm and everything, and then they get rained on in the middle of the summer, and then they come back, and the vines are okay, and they have a lot of problems. Their problems here are very interesting. Hail, one of them, and birds. And so they have the same nets that kind of do the same thing for both. And we've been learning a lot about this, and I think that it's really what we're kind of here to say is that there's so much to learn about this. I mean, you're talking to one of the greatest experts of wine in the world, and a guy that's super freaky about wine. That's me, you guys. But that's why we get along so well. But I think that what we've learned here from Mexico is really valuable information for you guys, and we're going to have the results, and you can follow it on my SawyerSomm.com, and you'll see the results that we got here, because we don't even know what we're drinking. Yeah. But you know what? There was some in my panel, which we really had a great panel. I had a great Mexican winemaker. I had a wonderful writer. I had a great sommelier, and then I had my great friend Lori, who's she's from Britain originally, but technically she's living in France, and she's awesome because I've judged with her so many times. In different places, or we've been judges for Concours Mondial when it's about 300 judges. This is really small. I mean, we did 20 judges, right? Because of 4 teams of 5, and then we also did have a spirits competition here too. And I can't wait to find out those spirits competitions. Those are hardcore judges, and it's not like we're not hardcore, but you know what? We're going to give our arguments because we have a California American kinds of backgrounds here and a good context to put it in. But we also know our French wines and Italian wines and all of these kinds of things that we got to taste. We just didn't know the varieties, but we were speculating on what they were.
Yeah.
We're probably right in a lot of them. For me, Malbec was another great one. Yeah. I did find one that was Zinfandel, and I wanted to pour it for you. I wanted to bring it over for you and go Doug, what is this? I mean, you would have said, dude, this is totally Zinfandel. Jammy Zinfandel. You guys ever had jammy Zinfandel? It happens in California all the time. But to get one that really is really great here, I think the blends are going to be great. We had one today that we gave 94 points to, and it was just a killer. I mean, it was opulent. It just had everything that you wanted. So I think that you guys are going to follow us, and you're going to really look into this. Doug, tell us a little bit about really quick about how the hell did you become, what got you so inspired originally to become a sommelier and eventually a master of wine, and to do this in your Kansas City?
Yeah,
you're
Kansas
the man
City.
from Kansas City.
Well, it's there's not much to do in KC except drink and read. So it was that. But no, I come out of the restaurant business. I was washing dishes at 14 and figured out pretty quickly there was more money out on the floor. So I got out there and I've worked the floor and bartended and all that stuff in the past. And from that, jumped into distributorship and being an importer, and now I'm making wines as well. I've got a winery in Walla Walla, Washington called Echolands that trying to keep that roll that big dirty rock uphill.
Love that area though. I think there's actually a pretty good correlation here, because one thing that they said here, I mean, this is definitely high elevation that we're talking about 5,000 to 6,000 feet that we're at right now. But probably the more important thing is desert. And when we go to Walla Walla, we're basically in the desert. We're in the very, very eastern side of Washington. And I think that there's some really interesting correlations here. And I feel like some of the Merlots that we tasted here, at least I feel like they were Merlots. I hope they were Merlots because they were awesome. And I think that you look at how Washington really got on the map. I mean, yes, of course, Riesling and all that stuff. But really, Merlot was really what was the big fuel behind the fire that really put them on a different stage. And I feel like that's a great thing that you and I continue to compare these things. Me being from Sonoma County and living right next to Napa and going up to, all these different areas that I see all the time. But I think being here in Mexico, it's exciting, you guys. And I think that what we're going to find out and what you're going to see from these results is going to be super fun. But with that being said, we better get going because the governor of the region is actually going to, we have to meet him in a few minutes. And
he's right up there.
I know, he's right up there with a whole contingency walking that way. And we better get our butts over there.
Guys with submachine guns may be around just next.
The Uzis are around here, but we can't see them. But no, we really appreciate you guys tuning in to the Varietal Show. And to see my great friend Doug Frost. And you know what, we'll do another show when Doug comes back to Sonoma County and we do the North Coast Wine Challenge again. We're going to do another one. We're going to talk a little bit more about Doug's background, and you'll find out more about what it was like, especially back in the old days, becoming a master sommelier and a master of wine, because he's had it for quite a while. Believe me,
I'm one of the old guys.
He's one of the old guys. I look at him and I go, like, we're the same age, right? And he's like, oh, dude, you're super young versus me. I can't believe that still. But hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the Varietal Show. And don't forget to check out the website for SawyerSomm.com. But if you do it when this rolls, which will be next week, and you'll see that this amazing winery that we went to, you'll see pictures from this. And you know what? These guys are really why, I think that these guys have had such an influence on this area, and we learned so much from them, but we also ate extremely well with them.
Yeah, we did.
And this Syrah is kicking butt. I like the blue fruits in here, and it's amazing. And you'll find out so much more as you tune into what I've done here and what Doug has done here too. And these results are going to be amazing. And I look forward to you guys tasting some Mexican wines at some point soon. So cheers. Thanks once again for tuning in to the Varietal Show. Cheers.